Hello, guys. Welcome to Never on the Backfoot. Tonight we are back after a long hiatus, and we'll be discussing round one of the Duleep Trophy matches that happened. And Nikhil and I were engaged in a lot of interesting conversations while the matches were happening. So I thought, who better than him to kind of invite on the show to have this discussion. So the discussion will be pretty simple. We'll have a look at the match proceedings, the major talking points, top performers, and just have a look at the general discourse around these matches. Joining me on the podcast is Nikhil. He's an ardent cricket fan and enthusiast. He's also a celebrity, who runs a page called Wicket Whisper. So don't forget to check that out. Every single time I have to give a plug in for that because he does fantastic work on that page. And a warm welcome to you, Nikhil. Thank you so much for joining me in. And to all the viewers, who have hopped on as well, please do share your thoughts, feedback, comments, perspectives. I've missed this so much, and we will definitely address it through the course of our discussion as well. Before I hog a lot of the screen time, I will start off with this question to Nikhil on his first thoughts on the Duleep Trophy. I mean, there's just so much hype, right, with the participation of India internationals, the media coverage, and everything. So, how much were you looking forward to the Duleep Trophy and excited?
I mean, yeah, first of all, it's good to be back. Welcome back to you as well. So, coming to the Duleep Trophy, I mean, I was pretty much excited with all the hype. Had great response as well. I mean, just after the first day, right? You see the word Mushir Khan trending all over the internet. That itself was a lovely thing to see. And yeah, like the participation of India internationals, that was such a key thing to this tournament. The way it helps the entire ecosystem itself, right? You just think about the quality of cricket that improves. You think about number of spectators, number of people who will actually watch it, revenue, and even like domestic players sharing the dressing room itself with these Indian international players. So that itself would augur so well to the entire ecosystem. So in that perspective, I thought it was lovely. And then round one hasn't been a disappointment. So bring it on.
Absolutely. I mean, so many positives to take away. And I think even just looking at the Duleep Trophy, it was kind of earmarked as such an important stepping stone for a lot of players, right? To kind of stake a claim, make a case for themselves ahead of the Bangladesh series as well. Some of them did make the cut, and eventually, some impression in this Duleep Trophy helped that case. So thoughts on the same, Nikhil?
Yeah. I think you often use this word creme de la creme. Duleep Trophy is the creme de la creme of domestic players. So you often get to pick the best of the lot. And also, another point I would like to touch is credit where it's due to the selectors and even to the entire Indian coaching staff as well. It looked very evident that the message was clear. Basically, you need to go back to the domestic level, prep in order for the entire home season, and then that's the way you're going to make it back in or even retain your place. So in that sense, messaging seems to be very clear, and also at the same time was pretty nice to see. In that perspective, I think it puts Duleep Trophy into good context. And also, it's nice to see, like, we often hear about Australian players going back and playing the Shield and things like that. So, India internationals coming back playing the domestic tournament itself is really good. So, yeah.
Definitely, it adds to the prestige and the aura of the tournament, right? Something I think a lot of us fans have been waiting for such a long period of time to see some of our best players, featured in the domestic side of things. Unfortunate that we didn't get to see Virat and Rohit play. I think they would have just attracted an entire stadium worth of spectators. Nonetheless, we saw some good turnout in both the venues. But just diverting our attention to the India A versus India B match, I think one of the biggest talking points was something you touched upon, was that monstrous knock of Mushir Khan. Now, talk us through your observations of his knock. What particularly stood out for you? I mean, his wild celebrations for sure, but something about the knock as well.
I mean, 187 itself sounds a huge number, but you look at it in larger context, it just magnifies the entire situation. The situation in which he came into bat, wickets falling all around him, just the grit and the fight back he showed, right? Just hanging in there and not giving away his wicket. And also, he had this different ploy of playing the seamers initially when it was moving. He started coming down the track and then trying to work his way through that phase. And then there was this often this fine line between defense and attack that's so difficult to manage. And then he did it so well. The way he worked his way through that innings, and then he took on the spinners, which was lovely to see. Like you read about the stats, I think he hit Kuldeep Yadav for about 59 or something like that runs in 70 odd balls. I mean, that's Kuldeep Yadav, right? You're talking about. So in that sense, such a mature knock, and also I think he's done this before as well in Ranji Trophy quarterfinals. He scored a big 100, even in the final. So man can bat, and even the situation they were in, right? It wasn't easy. 94 for 7 is what the score read when Navdeep Saini and Mushir were at the crease. And that feels like in back in school when the math teacher would say, I'll just take about 10 minutes of that extra class. And then it goes to lunch break. 94 for 7 to 320 odd they got. I mean, they covered a lot of portions, you can say. So, in that sense, I mean, such a mature knock and yet lovely to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing, the way the India A bowlers had no answers, to get this Mushir out, who's just, what, a 19-year-old, and remarkable maturity shown by him as well. But before we go on to talk about that amazing partnership as well, I think when you just look at the rest of India B's batters, they were just dismissed cheaply. We saw a couple of them get those starts, but clearly they were unable to convert and actually make something out of it. So what did you make of it? And again, you'll have to give that benefit of doubt that they don't have that much experience, or at least like they didn't have that experience with red ball cricket very recently, so perhaps that could have played a role.
Yeah, you're spot on. I think there were a few needless shots. I mean, as armchair experts, we can say that, but I guess, hey, everyone has an opinion about the game, right? That's what makes this entire thing so beautiful. So, you look at the replay. I think even Pant looked for that big heave on the leg side. Shuman Gill taking a brilliant catch, running backwards, and Abhimanyu Ishwaran. Very rarely you see someone going and slashing the ball out. It's like sixth or seventh stump, and there were also a few unlucky ones. I think Washington Sundar got run out at the non-strikers end. Not a man cut, but Akashdeep got his hand in. So a few unlucky dismissals. But it also, we need to touch a little bit on how good the bowlers were, especially Akashdeep. He picked up 4 wickets in the first innings. And man, that ball to Nitish Reddy, first ball, pitching on middle stump, he played the wrong line. He just beat him on the outside edge and took the top of off. So yeah, in that sense, it was lovely. And yeah, even Khalil and Abesh, I thought they looked good. So it was a proper seamless fight back sort of thing, of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that does make sense because I think we've seen so much of Test cricket played on roads, absolute roads, with runs being just given for free. That we actually got to see a very good contest, with the bat and ball, and I think that's where Mushir's knock is special for a lot of reasons. And talking about even Navdeep Saini's knock, I mean, that 56, his first class 50, he was batting like batting is in his DNA itself, and it was such a gritty knock, right? I mean, he was smiling through the knock, and the camera he shared with Mushir, at the crease as well. So, Nikhil, what did you make of that knock? And somewhere, I think India's always had this problem of bowlers not being able to contribute with the bat, but now we maybe can sense a change in the trend.
You look at that game a little more in perspective why that knock was so good as well. So you think about it, Saini wasn't a part of that squad at all. So Siraj was supposed to play that, and then Saini had to replace him. He comes in at 9, and then he scores about 50 odd. And more than 50 odd itself is a huge number, but then that 200 odd partnership with Mushi, right, was very sensible. He just hung in there, and then after that, he started playing proper shots. So you speak about promotions. Not often happens in the IT industry. You can give this man one of the batting order. So things like that, and then he started talking the bowlers later on. So in that sense, it was a really good knock, pretty knock as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's where also, we need to kind of shed light on India is the bowling effort as well. Somewhere they started well, but, they did struggle. Yet you had a silver lining with Akash Deep, the way he kind of performed. So again, your impressions from that bowling effort?
Yeah, you're right. Akash clearly looked the standout bowler, and in that innings they did have a couple of opportunities, I believe, with the run out of when Mushir and Saini were batting. But yet again, I thought the way they played the spinners what defined it. The way they took on Kuldeep and even Tanush Kotian. So it got them to a way excess score from what they should have got. But nonetheless, Yeah, you're right. In that sense, Akashdeep seemed to be the only one that outperformed the rest in that bowling lineup. So that's true.
Certainly, and I think that has to be one of the positives they will take away. And we'll talk about Akash Deep a little later on in our conversation. Man had a very special promotion of sorts, to play again for the Indian team as well. But again, looking at India's batting effort, in that first innings, they kind of never got going right. Again, they were skittled for like 231. Their top four got starts, but simply again could not quite convert. So, Nikhil, what did you think kind of happened there? Again, there was some difficulty in just adapting to the conditions and not being able to make the most of it.
Yeah, you're right. The top four didn't quite capitalize. It was like the top four went out for lunch, ordered only gobi manchurian, and then said, "Yeah, that's enough," because only starters. So, in that sense, and even that entire innings itself, right? The most replayed video I think was the Shubman Gill's dismissal. He left the ball outside off stump with the ball coming back in, and taking us off stump. Not just that, even I thought few shots when you look at it more in detail. KL Rahul one, he took the ball from way outside off stump, trying to paddle sweep one, chopping it back onto the stump. So small things like that did cost them quite a lot. You can say no one really bought in that time, and I mean they gave the opposition a 100-run lead, which is quite massive. So in that sense, that was about it. So.
Yeah, and I think that's why you kind of have to give due credit to India B, right? I mean, the way they bowled, you had Mukesh Kumar and Navdeep Saini, kind of just breaking the back of India is the batting effort, and you had Sai Kishore, Yash Dayal, and Washington Sundar also compliment them, which was again quite noteworthy and clearly said that the match still had a lot to offer, right?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned, Saini came in for Siraj, and Mukesh is always known to keep it tight on those tight lines, just around off stump and things like that. And Dayal brings in that good variety of a left arm swing bowler who can swing it both ways. So complementing each other becomes such a good aspect about a bowling unit of sorts. And now one big thing was seeing Nitish Reddy bowl. I mean, how often do we want an all-rounder, seeming all-rounder in red ball? That we badly miss. So overall, good all-around bowling effort, you would definitely say. So yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, ever since Hardik Pandya has not been playing that frequently in red ball cricket, I think not frequently, he has not played only for such a long period of time. That seeing Ritish Reddy was actually a very refreshing sight. A lot of chances he did generate, especially in those initial few overs, looked very impressive. I hope they kind of nurture and groom his talent as well. Now, even looking at this aspect, now India B got that significant lead, and their second innings saw, I think, the biggest talking point of that partnership between Sarfraz and Rishabh Pant. They stitched such a commendable partnership as well. And everyone else just, again, could not make the most of their time at the wicket. But, Nikhil, what were your major observations again from that effort?
yeah. I mean, the way they batted, they were actually in a state of bother. They came in when they were about 20 odd for three. And there was this phase where Safras hit Akashdeep for 5 boundaries in an over. That itself was quite exciting. And despite that, Pant was in his regular flow. Remember, it was his first red ball game after that accident. And he didn't. I mean, he never left. The man never left. I guess, he's always been playing. And the Sarfara scored about 40 odd and 30 odd balls, and then Pant scored 60 odd and 47. That's T20. Someone's changed the format there. So, in that sense, they counter attack really well. We speak about having certain batters who can actually play that counter attacking role. And it's such a fine balance as well. You can't have all 11 playing the same way. It's like you can't put all your money in crypto always, right? You might have to go back to your traditional RD and FTs at times. So in that sense, it makes sense to have a couple of these counter-attacking batters who can actually work their way and then put pressure on the opposition straight away. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was definitely a very entertaining passage of play. You could see all over Twitter, Instagram, people were like absolutely losing it. They're like, oh, these, both of them are batting together. Imagine them, playing for India. A lot of thinking was happening there. Let's see, how things kind of play out in that Bangladesh series as well. Because again, team selection is something beyond fans' control as well. But I think it's definitely a left field choice to have both of them, kind of play in that playing 11. Now, even though Akashdeep had that tough over, I think he again stood out with a fifer and was largely responsible for dismissing India before 184. You had Khalil also, kind of stand out with his performance. A lot of people feel his game is like his fitness is not very much molded for the longer format of the game. But again, he just proved all of his naysayers wrong, right?
Yeah, Akashdeep, like you mentioned, carried on. He picked up that big five or so. 9 wickets in the match itself is such a big thing. And good to see Khalil as well, right? Whenever we think about Khalil, it's always injuries that's been troubling him. So hopefully, injuries keeping him. Yeah, I mean, don't come back and trouble him. But yeah, it's nice to see a left arm seamer in red ball again.
I mean, a lot of people thought, if Khalil had a good Duleep Trophy, he could possibly, make it to that Indian team for the Bangladesh series as well. But Yash Dayal perhaps just whipped him a little. Again, depends a lot on the matchups and, the kind of impact they have with the new and the old ball. And, probably Yash Dayal can give you that sort of a extra impetus to the bowling attack, so to say. And again, chasing a total of 275. I think India seemed to have all the ingredients to pull off a successful chase. I mean, such reputable names on paper, but they largely faltered, which was very disappointing. You had Bengaluru boy KL Rahul's, defiance, which kind of fell short ultimately. Riyan Parag played a quick fire knock, a very T20-esque knock, but perhaps the situation kind of demanded him to play that. The rest of the batting also, could not quite get themselves across the line. Again, we saw a lot of like unnecessary shots, but what were your observations from that run chase?
Yeah, you're right. 275 wasn't going to be easy at all, chasing in the fourth innings. But then you were right. There were quite a lot of needless shots as well. Gill poking a wide one. Parag was looking good. He was looking, I mean, the format was different for him. It looked like he was playing T20, as you mentioned. And they needed someone to stay with KL Rahul. KL Rahul played really well if you think about it. And then just the crowd, right? Everyone cheering KL. And then, of course, RCB. So they need KL needed someone to stay with him. And in that sense, wickets kept tumbling the other side. And not to forget, the Rishabh Pant, Kuldeep Yadav, and Sarfraz is the best. That passage of play was the best, where each of them were sledging each other, and then they were just having fun. So that was a treat to watch, definitely. Number of memes and posts that came viral, posts that, yeah.
Yeah, certainly. And I think there was another video where I think Shubman Gill was addressing his team, and you had Rishabh Pant was also a part of the conversation. So people are like, is this a serious game? Is this an exhibition game? Like, what's really happening? I think the players were just having fun, and having a bit of spectators coming and kind of just amped things up. But again, they couldn't quite get across the line. That 275 was not chased. And again, we'll have to focus a little bit on India B's bowling, because you had Mukesh, Yash and Navdeep, who kind of, proved that they're not easy customers. They're not going to give you those easy runs. So how impressed were you with that effort, and hope that they will carry on the momentum to wherever they go next?
Yeah, I mean, the Seamers did do well. I thought Yash Dayal was really the pick for me. The way he played with angles coming around and over the wicket, and he actually got it to swing both ways. And the aggressive celebrations once he got Riyan Parag uh, just adds to the it just adds to it. And effort wise, yeah, you can say Seamers clearly did the work, and yeah, it augurs well, I think, just for the entire unit itself. So.
Definitely a very commendable win. And let's quickly take a few comments that have come in our live chat as well. SS98 goes on to add that Mushir Khan and Akashdeep were the biggest positives from the first round. And I think definitely, they were the toast of the town. We could see how everyone was so excited that, this duo performed really well. And Nikhil, before we move on to the India C versus India D match, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just had one. We That game, you can look at everything, but just the quality of wicket keeping, right? That was there on display. Uh, like constant battle between Rishabh Pant and Dhruv Jurel. Some brilliant catches being taken, and then also it's such a difficult job for a wicket keeper. Like if they drop one, everything comes into limelight. as long as they do their job, no one says anything. So I think it was very commendable just to see the level of wicket keeping in that game. So yeah, that's about it.
Agreed, because I think Dhruv Churel was just fantastic, right? I think even Rajasthan Royals posted a thing of, what air Churel, and I was like, yeah, I mean, he was just fascinating with the way he was keeping. Definitely makes a strong case for India as we go ahead, in like all formats as well. And yeah, let's focus on the India C versus India D match, another showpiece match that I think we all were quite looking forward to. Again, big names coming. The match was happening in Anandpur, which was apparently mimicking, the Perth conditions and all of that. So, Nikhil, did you, buy into all of that hype, and did you actually think the conditions were kind of replicating Perth?
I mean, I did read about it, but I'm just gonna say in the second innings, left arm spinner picked up seven, so not so Australian sort of conditions. But the favorite part about that was just the crowd, right? I think we had this conversation there. It was lovely to see the crowd; they were packed when you compare to the other game. I think smaller towns and cities you get to see this, which was lovely to hear. And then each time the ball went out of the crowd, everyone was going out of the ground rather. Everyone was going mad, so it was lovely.
Yeah, and I think these are the joys of hosting matches in the lesser known venues, because you have spectators who will throng the stadiums, which is definitely a welcome sight. And again, India D, batting first was shot off for 164, a very forgettable effort with the bat. We had the likes of Akshar Patel, who stood out with his knock of 86, which was stellar. But again, I think more than India D's batting, we should look at India C's bowling, because that's where you had the likes of Vaishak Vijay Kumar who stood out. You had Himanshu and Anshul Kamboj also kind of stepping up with the ball, making it such an interesting contest. So Nikhil, what was it for you? Was it more about India D faltering with the bat, or did you just appreciate how good India C was with the ball?
I mean, I like this. I like the underrated sort of things. Like you look at, there was I think 34 for five, and Akshar Patel came in, and then he took them to 164. So it's just like this one single Herculean effort, and just the range of shots he has, right from covers till that huge arc that he has on the leg side, and the number of balls he hit out of the ground as well. And that itself was such a nice thing to see. And one more thing was he tore into Manasutar the way he hit him that innings as well. And but coming to their bowling, I thought Vaishak and Himanshu Sharma, even Anshul Kamboj, they were really good in picking up wickets, and that actually restricted them to such a low total, which was supposed to be what Perthish.
I mean, I have a lot of expectations. We're thinking that we will see a lot more on offer with the bat, but India D could not quite do that. But even India C, right, their batting effort also saw them just get what, a 4-run lead. And they didn't quite have a very different outing with the bat. But Baba Indrajit, I think his knock was, praised by Ravi Ashwin on Twitter as well. And you had Abhishek Porel also kind of played a very gritty knock, something that he's been known to do, a very characteristic knock of his. But again, not a lot to write home from that batting effort, right?
Correct. Not much actually. Baba Indrajit itself was the star there, and then he's been doing consistently well for Tamil Nadu in domestic trophy, and that came into limelight there. So, in that sense, it showed why people rate him very highly as well. But yeah, there wasn't much anything of substance from the rest of the batters, you can say. So, in that sense, yeah, 4-run lead. Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, again, here we should give due credit to India D. They had Harshit Rana impressed with the 4-4. I'm sure you're just waiting to answer this question, because Harshit Rana has been such a, breakout star this year. And I mean, he has been performing well even in the past year or so, but we've seen his exploits for KKR, and now, playing domestic cricket as well, doing so well. You also had the likes of, Akshar Patel step up, Saransh Jain also kind of coming in. It was definitely a memorable bowling effort to kind of just cover up that not so great effort with the bat.
Yeah, for sure. Harshit Rana itself got 4 wickets, and there was a lot of love in the air because of the flying kiss celebration he keeps giving. And he takes the new ball, which is lovely to see. Like you think about the comparisons in T20, what he does in T20 versus in domestic. such a huge change. And yeah, you're right. You know, even Akshar Patel, the moment someone tries to stay on the back foot and try to cut him, right, the way he comes back with the angle, and then yeah, it was lovely to see.
Absolutely, and I think this bowling effort was really remarkable to see. And India D's batting effort too, right? In that second innings, I think there was a little more resilience shown. We had Shreyas Iyer play a skipper's knock of 54 till he absolutely threw his wicket away, which felt like such a, I don't know, very ridiculous thing. We had Devdutt Padikkal also step up with a great knock of 56. We had Ricky Bui with his 44 as well, and somehow ended up with 236, which seemed like a great batting effort and something for India C to kind of chase. So, Nikhil, again, thoughts on the same?
Yeah, Shreyas Iyer looked really good. He played really attacking. Was like this proper 100 plus strike rate wala innings. So, and even Padikkal looked really good, like you mentioned. Those signature cover drives and then the typical dab he does towards third man for boundaries. And Ricky Bui, the number of times his name has come up in terms of good leading run getters in the domestic season. He did look good, although he does struggle a little bit to the short ball. But in you look at that innings, I think these three batters were the pick of them. And 236 did look respectable because fourth innings you never can really say any target is chaseable. Um, can never predict a sort of thing. But 236 did look respectable in the fourth innings of a test match in India. So yeah.
Absolutely, and considering the Duleep Trophy encounters are again 4-day matches, it's about making the most of whatever little time you have and just putting on some great cricket. And look at Manav Sutar, right? I think he's unbelievable with the ball for India. See, he picked a 7 foot, and he just seemed unplayable. Again, a lot of fans went on an overdrive, telling that he should be selected in the Indian team, and he can replace a lot of people. Perhaps that is a little far fetched, but talk us through that spell and how mind blown were you that he was able to kind of carry on that consistency from the Ranji Trophy on to the Reed Trophy as well.
That spell was lovely because he didn't show huge variations. It was more on the subtle stuff that he kept changing. And like there have been talks about, I think Harsha Bhogle also made this point in yesterday's video, saying there have been talks about who the next line of spinners are in red ball cricket with after Jadeja, Ashwin, Kuldeep, and Akshar, and names like Manav Sutar, Saurabh Kumar, Washington Sundar, Sai Kishore. Uh, these people keep popping up, and then with performances like this, right, it does show a future is in good hands for red ball. And the subtle variations that he showed, and he picked up seventh for them. I mean, on a platform where there were a lot of eyes in terms of selectors, high visibility tournament as well, would be the perfect thing just for his future as well. So yeah, that would do him great.
Absolutely, and I hope he kind of grows from strength to strength, is given the right kind of nurturing and growth in the setup, because we've seen a lot of players who come to the setup but just kind of fade away. But I think from whatever impressions, from what little we have seen, I think he has impressed us so far. And again, just looking at the context of this match, we saw a target of 233, which again seemed doable for India C and was executed to perfection. You had Ruturaj, who gave you that fine start, and then you had the likes of Aryan Juyal, you had Rajat Patidar, and Abhishek Porel, kind of just paving the way for a win. And I was very concerned what if we head to a draw, but then there were a few hiccups here and there, but still a worthwhile win, right?
Yeah, the key to that entire run chase was the I word intent. Just the way they started with it, right? Ruturaj and Sai Sudarshan, and everyone starts thinking of the run chase differently the moment two batters go Helen Tongs on up top. And I thought everyone started to play the same template. At no point did they look like, even despite losing a couple of wickets, right? It didn't look like they were going to let it out of control. So it was a perfect thing. And you keep seeing Abhishek Porel playing such a mature innings despite how young he is, even in situations like this. It augurs really well, and I thought that was a very positive sign as well for the team. Yeah.
Certainly, and I think they will cherish this win for a long time because defeating the likes of Shreyas Iyer and that very competitive India D side will augur well. And Nikhil, before we move on to just briefly discuss India's squad for that Bangladesh series as well, do you have any closing thoughts for this segment?
Um, Actually, my thoughts reciprocate the same way. I just wished Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma could play. I mean, I get why they wouldn't, but I would also. I mean, the fan in me would be like, yeah. I mean, it would have just been nice to watch. But that's about it. I didn't have anything else. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the icing on the cake would have been to see this duo play because again they're coming from a huge layoff. They did play that series in Sri Lanka, but again, playing at home a domestic tournament ahead of a home series would have done a world of good. But again, that will take us to another entirely different tangent. So yeah, Nikhil, let's quickly talk about India's squad for the Bangladesh series as well. So how satisfied were you with the selections for the tour? And again, there were quite predictable selections there. It was not like Duleep Trophy played a big role in kind of giving us those flash in the pan and very surprise sort of picks. So again, similar observations.
Yeah, just love the consistency in selection. Despite whatever's been happening around, they don't chop and change too much. That's one good credit you need to give to the selectors, and it also gives you clarity in their thinking, right? The like you can predict most of the squad before they announce it. It'll just be a couple of names that we'll often be looking at. So that's still good rather than few teams that won't be sure of their captain, coach, and things like that. I'm not going to say who, but yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, fair point there. And again, I think one of the things that a lot of people don't take into consideration is how a few good performances from this round one of Duleep Trophy kind of paved the way for selections in this Bangladesh tour as well. We had the likes of Akash Deep and Yash Dayal kind of stake a claim and make a case for themselves in this tour as well. So Nikhil, again, over to you on how happy you are to see these selections and again just add so much to that pace repertoire, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even the consistency in keeping Akashdeep, Safraz, and Jurel from the previous, even from the England tour that happened in India, uh, they are rewarding consistent domestic performances as well. And Yash Dayal is one of the answers to that. And with Shami being injured, it does help you figure out that extra seamer you want to take to the PGT. Everyone's going to be speaking about it all year. So in that sense, they've planned it out pretty well, and I think the messaging seems to be very clear from the top. In that sense, I mean, I'm very happy that with whatever selection has been done. Maybe I might have felt somewhere that should we be looking at some other off spinner because I mean I just can't fathom what will we do if Ravichandran Ashwin retires, but that's for another day. Can't find a replacement, and who's your next big off spinner? Washington Sundar is in line, but yeah, I mean that's just me thinking out loud.
Yeah, I mean, they are definitely valid questions and something we need to contend with in the future as well. But again, I think just looking at the Duleep Trophy, right? I mean, we did see some very good quality cricket, and so many players. It just showed like so many players can actually play good red ball cricket. I mean, we do have Ranji Trophy as well. A lot of them are also typecasted as T20 players. So again, Nikhil, was it refreshing for you to see that hey, they can actually play the longer format and make it an interesting battle between the bat and the ball?
Yeah, definitely. I think the skill set is often there at that level. It's just small, finer tunes. I mean, details like adaptability, which is such a key aspect. You look at someone like I think we spoke about Harshit Rana itself, right? The number of off cutters he bowls in T20 is almost an off spinner at times, and then he takes the new ball in here and then bowls the old fashioned regular right arm seam. And even someone like Riyan Parag, right? We often speak about his dip in form way back when he started IPL. He went back, played the domestic season, grinded it out there, scored a ton of runs, and then came back and now he's reaping rewards. So in that sense, adaptability is such a key aspect, and these players seem to have it. I think whoever adapts the quickest seems to uh, take the game one step ahead. So in that sense, it's been great to see, and a lot of names popping up. Hopefully, many more in the future as well. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think we got to see some good cricket in round one, and I'm sure round two will give us again some very interesting performances. I know a lot of the players will be prepping for that Bangladesh tour as well, and we see a slight change in the composition of the squads for each of the teams. But yeah, we will talk about that in another episode. And yeah, guys, that pretty much does conclude our discussion as well. First up, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, Nikhil, for joining me on the stream today and sharing your remarkable insights. You definitely added a lot of value and nuance to our conversation. So thank you so much for coming on board, and to all our viewers as well who watched us live, shared your questions and perspectives. Thank you so much. We hope you had something to take away from our conversation, and hope to see you in future streams as well. And we will be doing live shows like this with cricket fans. So, guys, please make sure you follow Never in the Backfoot on all our social media handles, and also Cricket Whispers, because, of course, he's here. I will give a quick plug into his profile as well. So, guys, please do check that out. And Never in the Backfoot initially did start as an audio podcast on Spotify. So, if you are still, one of those old school listeners of podcast, audio podcast, that is your go to place. Yeah, guys, that's all from now. Take care. Good night.
Thank you.